Welcome to the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast. This podcast is dedicated to EAS employees of the U.S. Postal Service and members of the National Association of Postal Supervisors. So, pour yourself a cup of coffee and join us for today's episode. And now, here's your host, Robert Wakefield.
Good morning, Branch 32, and good morning, Naps family, wherever you are listening. Welcome to the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast presented by the Nashville Post Office Credit Union. We are so happy that you're listening today. It's wherever you're listening from. We do appreciate that. I'm your host, Robert Wakefield, president of Branch 32. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, we've got a great show lined up for you. So let's go ahead and let's pour that first cup. Since 1925, the Nashville Post Office Credit Union has been right here in Middle Tennessee, serving postal employees, their families, and our community with honest banking you can count on. Whether you're saving for something big, applying for a loan, or just looking for a place that treats you like a member and not a number, we're here for you. Visit us at 10 Rachel Drive or online anytime. The Nashville Post Office Credit Union, people helping people since 1925. And for our first cup this morning, we are so happy to have the Director of Legislative and Political Affairs. Easy for me to say. You know him, you love him, you can't live without him. Here he is. Bob Levi. Bob, welcome to the Saturday Cup of Joe.
Thanks a lot. I think people can get along quite fine living without me at some points. But yes, I appreciate the sentiments.
There you go. I did that same thing with Chuck, and he was so tickled on the last podcast, he could hardly operate after that. So I thought I would try it out on you. So listen, we're just now coming back from the Legislative Training Seminar. It was absolutely fabulous, and you have a really major role at the seminar, and I wanted you to talk about the training part of it for a little bit.
I think probably one of the most important parts of the training that we do at the Legislative Training Seminar is for our first timers or for those veteran attendees at the Legislative Training Seminar who'd like to freshen up or brush up on their lobbying skills. Mm-hmm. So one of the key elements is the training that we do before the general session actually starts, and that's on Sunday of the conference. And we work with a fair number of the LTS or Legislative Training Seminar delegates on what they need to bring to Capitol Hill, what to expect on Capitol Hill, and how to make the most effective use of their time when they're meeting with the member of Congress or the staff person who supports that member of Congress.
Right. And you do a really good job. And I wanted you to talk about the actual training, too, of the bills that are before Congress. I think you guys all do a really good, and you really do a good job of explaining what each bill is. How much of a process is that?
Well, I find that is absolutely crucial because so many folks who come up to the Hill to lobby maybe have a 2-pager with talking points about maybe 3 or 4 bills that they were bringing to Capitol Hill. Mm-hmm. We provide a quick and dirty National Association of Postal Supervisors brochure, which summarizes our legislative priorities. Right. But we also leave with members of Congress and we train our members the background behind the bill and the analysis that led to the introduction of that bill, what motivates members of Congress relating to the bill, and a lot of background material. So they come in, and when they speak with a member of Congress or a staff member, they're experts on the issue. And during the hour or so that they provide to me to go through our legislative agenda on the main stage, that's what I talk with them about. I go, we know what we're supporting and what we're opposing. but why do we support something, or why do we oppose something? And I think that is crucial when you're talking to a member of Congress or their staff member.
That's exactly right. How often, well, let me rephrase this question in this way. How do you guys decide which legislation is key to the Postal Service and NAPS? Because I know there's got to be some kind of a pecking order, I would think.
Well, we look at our priorities. What affects our members most intimately?
Mm-hmm.
In previous Congresses, one of our priorities was the windfall elimination provision government pension offset, which we secured victory back in 2023 on that when it was signed into law.
Right.
More recently, what we are looking at are those issues, and we prioritize those issues that affect us within the regard to the consultative process, because that is a festering problem for our members, and that is two parts. Number one, lingering about waiting for a pay agreement to actually be put in place, because we have to wait around for the largest postal union, which is now the NALC, to conclude their collective bargaining before we could even start our consultation over pay and benefits. The legislation that we're promoting, H.R. 7600, introduced by Congressman James Walkinshaw and Congressman Mike Bost, would basically accelerate the process so you wouldn't have the need to wait as long as we currently do. And the second provision, it's pretty simple, is that if we proceed to a fact-finding process because we don't agree with the Postal Service, which occasionally happens, we can go to a fact finder, and the fact-finding panels decision will be binding on the Postal Service at the conclusion of our consultative process.
Right.
So you have an accelerated process, and you have an actual conclusion to that process, and that affects us intimately.
Okay, yeah, and that's a great bill. When we went to the Hill, we pointed out to our staff member that we met with that this is doesn't cost the taxpayers anything. This is simply a in-house bill that can really take care of supervisors and postmasters to get the pay talks going earlier, and if there's any kind of impasse, get it solved quicker, that we don't have to go to court for anything.
That's right. And in fact, I got a phone call yesterday from Congressman Walkinshaw's postal legislative person, that she got a phone call from a senator's office as a direct result of our members from New Mexico impressing on the senator from New Mexico the importance of the legislation. And that member is now looking at introducing a Senate companion to that legislation. We don't know where it's going to go, what the timing is, but the actual fact that we have a United States senator communicating with a member of the House of Representatives who introduced one of our legislative priorities to entertain introduction in the Senate is a step in the right direction. And it also demonstrates how effective our lobbyists are when they go up to the Hill during our legislative conference.
And that's exactly what I was going to say, Bob. It shows the importance of attending the legislative training seminar to get the training to go and talk to these people that have a direct, effect on our pay lives or whatever. So it's a great thing that we do every single year.
Yeah, there is an organization known as the Congressional Management Foundation, which surveys congressional offices about the effectiveness of different types of advocacy that are directed at a member's Washington office. The most important advocacy tool is in-person issue visits from the member of Congressman or the senator's constituents.
Okay, I did not know that. Wow.
54% found that it has a lot of positive influence. And when you combine it with another 40% that it has a positive influence, you're talking about 94% of the offices believe there is value to these in-person visits in Washington. That's not to say individual letters or emails to members of Congress are not influential, but it falls, the effectiveness or the lots of positive influence falls to around 31 or 28%, depending on the mode of written or digital communication. So It's a drop off of over 20%.
Wow. That's amazing. I did not know that. And I think it's really great that your office puts together those QR codes that we can do the Legislative Action Center to reinforce what we just did up on the Hill.
Yeah, in the past, what we did was we sent emails to individual delegates to our legislative conference, and we messaged them in emails with links. This we found was much more effective. We put it in our published legislative agenda, the official legislative agenda, which has the entire week, the entire stay in Washington in front of you with bios and all the pertinent information. We attach the QR codes there, so it is always at the ready. So when you go back home to your district, to the congressional district, you still can communicate with members of Congress and have everything at your fingertips. And you can also access those QR codes online.
Right. Right. That's such a handy thing, and I'm so glad that you guys do that. So tell me, since the legislative training seminar is over, tell me what your overall satisfaction or dissatisfaction, how did you feel it went this year?
Well, I don't even have to guess. We have a delegate survey where all the delegates who attend our conference are able, through that QR code, to evaluate how we did. And as I'm looking at the numbers right now, I pulled it up. 95% believe they got a lot out of it. It was either satisfactory or excellent.
Oh, excellent. That's great.
So we had 95% had a very positive response. And then we look at different aspects of it, of the conference, and how people rate different aspects of the conference, how they evaluate different speakers. We look at we look at the evaluation of our written material, of our digital material. So it's not just that we can pat ourselves on the back or lash ourselves with a wet noodle if we do something wrong. It's how to improve upon ourselves in the future.
Oh, that's so true. That is so true. Well, I thought I'll just tell you, I thought you did an excellent job. Chuck did an excellent job. All the officers that had a part of this, because this is not a one-man show. It's not all of Chuck. It's you. It's everybody putting that legislative training seminar together.
I mean, it starts actually for 2027. It started already. Because we're looking at the delegate survey at 2026, our delegate survey for 2026, which just passed, and we're starting to make adjustments and tweak the program for 2027.
It never ends, does it?
It is. It never ends. But, we want to make it better and to make a positive experience for all those attend, and also to encourage first-timers who have yet to attend a legislative training conference to come in 2027.
Right. It's interesting you mentioned that. Branch 32, we make it a habit to bring two first-timers to the LTS, just so everyone can have the experience of going to the Hill and experiencing the seminar itself. So it's a great thing.
Yeah, it is really good. I mean, we try hard. I mean, Chuck did a great job putting all the pieces together. We have a professional meeting planner, Sherry David, who does this.
Yeah, she does a terrific job. Great.
Yeah, Sherry Davis does a wonderful job putting the pieces together, making sure everything is where it ought to be.
Right.
The staff. Our headquarters staff doing registration and doing the grunt work and the support work behind did a great job. And of course, the NAPS members who come did a great job communicating with their members of Congress and really absorbing the information they were provided at the conference.
Right. Exactly right. Well, Bob, it's been great having you back on the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast. I've been asking everybody this very important question, and I will be asking you that as well. And are you ready to answer it?
Depends what the question is.
I've been asking everybody, what is your favorite sandwich?
Corned beef on rye.
Corned beef on rye? Are you serious? Wow. That is amazing.
Corned beef on rye.
Okay, I love that.
We're purists.
Is there a certain place that you get that from there in D.C., or is it just anywhere?
Oh, no, you got to go. No, to get a good corned beef and rye, you got to go up to New York.
Oh, do you? Okay. Oh, that is great.
You got to find a good deli in Manhattan, and that's where you get it.
Gotcha. Bob, thanks so much for being on the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast today. We really appreciate it.
Take care.
All right.
Regards to all. Take care. Bye-bye.
Banking shouldn't be complicated. At the Nashville Post Office Credit Union, it isn't. With easy online loan applications, mobile deposit, shared branching, and a team that actually picks up the phone, you get real service from real people. No runaround, no surprises. Just a credit union built on trust since 1925. The Nashville Post Office Credit Union, people helping people since 1925. And for our second cup today, we're going to be looking at April in postal history. And here's your host, Robert Wakefield. Well, thank you very much there, Robert. What a great introduction that just was. All right, postal history, the month of April. Here are some of the milestones right here. April 1st in 1845, the first commercial telegraph service began under the authority of U.S. Post Office Department. And this came nearly a year after Samuel Morse sent out the very first message. Interesting. April 1st, 1855, the prepayment of postage became a requirement in the United States. Previously, the person receiving the mail would be required to pay upon delivery. Well, they changed that in April 1st of 1855. April 3rd, 1860, the Pony Express officially began its run, with riders simultaneously departing St. Joseph, Missouri, and Sacramento, California. Interesting. That's April 3rd, 1860. And then the last one we'll do is April 16th in 1900. The first stamp booklets were issued. They contained 12, 24, or 48 2-cent stamps. 2-cent stamps. Can you imagine? Wow, we've come a long way. Oh, we'll do one more. April 12th of 2007, the USPS issued the very first Forever stamp, featuring the Liberty Bell. So there is this month in postal history, and I hope you enjoyed that for your second cup. And thanks so much for listening to the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast presented by the Nashville Post Office Credit Union. I really would appreciate it if you would tell all your EAS friends and your friends in NAPS to please like and subscribe to this podcast. That's right. Tell them all. Phone them. Give them a message. Send them a text. Tell them all about the podcast. And if you do that, you'll get absolutely nothing. But it would help it grow, and I sure would appreciate it. All right. That's going to do it for today. Thanks so much for listening. And remember, every great weekend starts with a great cup of Joe. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast. Please note that the views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of Robert Wakefield and do not necessarily reflect the views of the National Association of Postal Supervisors. We welcome your questions and comments, so send those to SaturdayCupofJoe@gmail.com.